Let's go, baby. Okay, so the Democrats are now back in the state of Texas that they never should have left in the first place. They can finally redistrict all their congressional lines because they have a quorum. But even though the Democrats are back in Texas, this fight is like way far from over because Democrats nationally are now going to try to negate any Republican progress in Texas by pushing the envelope even further into blue states. Okay, so the has-been Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, who's basically dust at this point, and former Attorney General Eric Holder, you know, the guy who was held in contempt for for running guns to the Mexican drug cartel. There are just a few of these people participating in a dinner and a discussion event as we speak. This is for the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, or the NDRC. They're saying, basically the quiet part out loud, they're saying, well, gerrymandering is bad, and to stop Republicans from undoing our gerrymandering, we're going to gerrymander more in blue states. And they think they have the high ground.
When they did the quorum break to prevent any redistricting map from getting through that last special session, they succeeded in that. But now we're going to have the second special session that is now underway. They're now expecting these maps to pass, and they think they have a better case to take to the courts to say this is the most extreme racial gerrymandering ever. I spoke to the House Democratic leader, Jean Wu, about this, and they say, we just really like our chances now in the court. We think we're going to be able to take this case there and stop the maps.
They always go to race. They had nothing. I am baffled by this. I probably shouldn't be at this point, but do these people actually believe the stuff they go out and say on TV? Or do they just say it to get the unemployed Democrat base to think that it's true? I don't know how much further they can gerrymander, because if you remember, courts have already struck down Democrats in New York State for drawing insane districts. So they aren't going to get away with much more. I mean, like, here's a current map of New York districts, okay? You've got districts with like bump outs and super long tails, and they're skinny. The court's already said, guys, you can't go any further than this. So New York's probably not going to pick up any more seats, and that was their big help to do that. Okay, Connecticut, you got purple-haired Rosa DeLauro. She thinks they're going to redistrict more seats, but they already have all 5 seats Democrat in there. But look at District 5 and 1. I mean, those guys really snuck in that. Look, Connecticut's like the size of most people's backyards in Texas, so that's my state. I don't know what they're going to change in this map. California, like, I mean, what even is this? Look at you zoom into the cities, it gets even worse too. What is that one district on the northwest side of the state? It's like the optimal coastal elite district to include enough rural people to take them away from another. This is unbelievable. Watch this.
So we have worked to try and identify a map that is consistent with the goals that we believe in. It honors the Voting Rights Act. It actually adheres to the criteria that the independent commission worked with. We divide less cities, less communities. We're more compact, but we also identify 5 seats held by Republicans that likely could be electing a Democrat if these maps were adopted.
None of the things she said are true. I actually went and checked a lot of those things. It does divide cities. It's unbelievable. Like, whatever, lady. All right. They already have this liberal utopia of congressional district, which is weird because they have all the liberal utopia policies, too. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself as we're going through this tonight, why is it that when Democrats get everything they want, they flee to states doing everything they hate, like Tennessee and Florida? Just stay in your dump that you made, California. Look, we've covered this when the Texas Democrats fled initially. This is what they are changing these things in Texas into, okay? Look, I mean, this is what they are changing things from, and I mean, just at first glance, it looks like super geometrically way simpler to what Republicans are trying to do now. But to protest this, the Democrats flew to this Illinois district because gerrymandering is supposedly bad. Again, the definition of gerrymandering. Noun, the practicing of dividing or arranging territorial unit into election districts in a way that gives one political party an unfair advantage in elections. Okay. I mean, the California Democrat literally said that from the podium. Anyway, now Governor Abbott is having the Democrats, though, because he can't trust them, escorted around by police to make sure they show up because now that they're back in his state, he has the jurisdiction and can escort them to the floor for the quorum. He can also arrest them if they try to flee the state again. I said this when they fled the first time. And just like the time before that, they had to come back. So this was all theatrics. It raised a bunch of money for them through Beto O'Rourke and friends. But speaking of theatrics, one of the Democrats who apparently hates the cops so much, which is kind of the Democrat Party platform at this point, that she slept on the House floor.
And now they're going to be silenced. Just like they're trying to silence us. Wu, I practice a vegan lifestyle, and he went and got me some chili that's meatless and vegan. So I'm very grateful.
Of course she's a vegan. Of course she is. I mean, come on. This is like the stereotypes just write themselves. But they aren't voting till tomorrow. So like, what's she doing? She's going to be like Uber Eats and all kinds of yard debris and vegan clippings until then? Hey, what I want to know is, like, Republicans set up all these fines and these civil unrest charges, but why don't they arrest any of these people? Like, right after this vote takes place tomorrow, just arrest them. You have the civil warrants for it. They were supposed to get fined $500 a day. They went to investigate even Beto O'Rourke and all these other Democrats who funded this little travel stunt. You guys didn't find them the first time they did this, after you said you would, and then this time they fled again, and I want to know what the consequences are, because if they don't hold them accountable, they're just going to do it again and cause more problems. I mean, I don't know, this should be like, what, they've gone 2 weeks, $7,000 fines, $500 a day. Are they taking it out of their paycheck? This is my problem with Texas. They have a bunch of rhinos in their ranks, and even tried to impeach Ken Paxton once, which completely fell apart on merit. Republicans always do this. It drives me insane. We get control of this body or that state and then don't do anything. Not only the things they said they were going to do, but they don't enforce actual penalties when Democrats break the law. Keep in mind, the Texas state constitution says, shall constitute a quorum. Not may, not should. It says shall, which is a mandate. Like, kind of like the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed, but they ignore that too. Hey, like, the American people at large do not approve of gerrymandering because it's whack, all right? Which is what Texas is undoing effectively. Even in liberal enclaves like California, people don't think that you should be doing this. Turns out most Americans are actually rational human beings, I know, which was a shocker to me post-COVID. But could you imagine for just half a second, like, this is what I love about Trump. He's just doing stuff. Doing what he's saying he's going to do, and he doesn't care about the political fallout or anything like that. He just does what he says he was going to do. But could you imagine if the rest of the Republican Party would just play by the same set of rules on both sides? Like, actually imagine fairly drawn congressional districts here in America. No mail-in ballots that Democrats keep getting arrested for gaming that they say they're not gaming. I mean, think about this for just a second. Objectively, okay, remove all your bias and your coexist sticker from your hybrid, all right? Democrats own basically all the media outside of like 1%, which is like this network, basically. They have most of Hollywood. They gerrymander the heck out of all the states that they run. It's become pretty apparent that thanks to Elon Musk, that much of their apparatus was probably funded through government-funded non-governmental organizations via USAID and friends. And they just lie about basically everything with impunity about Republicans. And most Republicans sit there and lecture, we're going to take the high road. We're not going to take it. Shut up. Because even with all that, it's still a 50-50 proposition in this country. Could you imagine if we played as Republicans by the same rules as Democrats? They would never win another election ever. I'm talking ever. So unless Republicans don't actually care about winning, some of which I do have questions about, maybe we should start playing hardball.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.